Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield here in Sin City, talking to the most interesting people and finding the things that you should be doing when you're in town. One of the things that people love to do is come to the Neon Museum, and Danielle Kelly's with us now. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, I'm delicious, and it's so nice to be here because this really is the history of Las Vegas right in front of us. These signs are nothing short of iconic, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, this really is what people imagine when they think of Las Vegas. It's its skyline, and it's really these signs.
What I love about it is the history and the fact they're so iconic. They all tell a story. I mean, the Sahara's just been knocked down and is going to be reopened this summer. Frontier's no longer there. As we look around, you can't imagine the people who've walked through the doors of these casinos. Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley. This is pure history in front of us.
Absolutely. It's Las Vegas history. We talk about iconic signs that people recognize from movies and a film, from television. But we also have signs that speak to the social and cultural history of Las Vegas. So people will learn about that aspect of the city as well. They represent trends in architectural design, obviously sign design. It is really our local art form. And what you're seeing is not just imagining, all the other people that looked at those signs, people like Frank Sinatra, but, regular people who came to town with a dream, with a fantasy, and it's really represented in the signs.
When we look around here, I mean, you've basically got everything you'd want to get for the Neon Museum. How does it work? I mean, do people want their signs to come here after the casino is no longer alive? Because let's face it, I mean, so many of these places are iconic, but then of course you've got the Tropicana, which is still going. It's just been rebranded. So how do you get these signs?
Well, every sign acquisition is a different, fascinating story in and of itself. But really, some signs, as you mentioned, the Tropicana, will come into our collection when an organization rebrands itself, or maybe when someone buys a casino resort, a dry cleaners, a small bar, and they're reimagining what they want it to look like, or perhaps the name, that kind of thing. But sometimes, it's really challenging if a casino resort closes and someone else buys that property. They don't really want you to remember what used to be there. They want you to be present in the current fantasy and in the current sort of branding or experience that they want you to have in the place. So it can be very challenging.
Really, what this place is about is keeping the history alive and sort of bringing back memories. There must be people who can remember walking through the oldest casinos maybe 50, 60 years ago.
That you hit the nail on the head. What's really interesting about us as a preservation organization, as an art museum, as an architecture museum, as a design museum, is really that, people don't really think about Las Vegas having a history because it's so young. It's such a young city. But the rapid pace at which it has evolved and changed, it's all of that is represented here in these really fabulous signage. And it's not just Las Vegas history, but it's really American history. And we get visitors from all over the world who have a relationship to the signs and to the collection. It's really fantastic to see.
Again, you used the word art earlier, which is interesting because they are works of art. They're also different and cleverly designed. A lot of effort goes into these to make them absolutely distinctive. You don't want it to look like the next because that would not be the point.
Definitely. They really, when you think about the relationship between signage and architecture, it's very integrated. So each sign is very unique. It's unique to the story that the casino resort or the bar or the small business, the motel, is trying to convey. What I love personally is the fonts, the wonderful topography that was developed here to complement the signs that are really designed to evoke a sense of place, like the Sahara, for example, a Moroccan fantasy, that lettering, the stardust, the atomic age. Those are some of my favorite parts of a sign that are really unique and singular.
Is there one guy who does this, or is this a world business where I could set up designing signs for casinos? How many people are doing it?
Well, there are some companies that specialize in designing for casinos, definitely, but there are sign companies all over the world. Everybody, and there are many signs in our collection where the local owner of the company designed the sign and had it fabricated to their specs, to their preference. So everyone does their own branding, right?
And again, when I look at them, they're not small. I imagine you need trucks to get some of these in in, I mean, the one we're looking at here, La Concha, the no vacancy sign. I mean, it's enormous. It's 3 times as tall as we are. Huge. How do you get them in?
Well, definitely cranes, sometimes more than one. It's quite the effort, and it's really, really fun. It's really fun to bring in a huge new sign. They come in on the flatbed. Some signs are small enough that you can use a hand truck or that sort of thing, but most signs require a lot of planning.
And very finally, as you go up and down the boulevard today, have you got your eye on certain signs that are around? It seems to me that they're not going for this sort of idea anymore. They've got these LED sort of plasma screen things that they can sort of change computer-wise inside. The halcyon days of these signs have gone, really, with neon, haven't they?
Well, in many respects, yes, but what you do see is a resurgence of this integration of architecture and signage. That is something that was innovated here in Las Vegas, which I think is wonderful. And you know, the most important thing to remember is the last thing we want is to have a sign come into the collection. We want them to stay where they are, lighting up the night sky. But you know, if I were pressed to say there's a sign that I would love to see in our collection if it were ever in danger, I would have to say the Circus Circus sign is one of my favorites.
Again, these are all wonderful pieces of art. So many people here today. It's an hour-long tour, and you run them through the day. Absolutely.
They leave, first tour leaves in the morning at 9 a.m. in the summertime at 10 a.m. But we have evening tours as well. Summertime midday tours we do not do, but most of the year, all day long, every hour.
And again, a beautiful day today. Here we are in May. It's 80-something degrees. And to be outside in a little oasis of Las Vegas to see these is a real thrill. It's so nice and so different and totally unique.
Absolutely. I think it's one of the most unique experiences anywhere in the world, much less in Las Vegas. I think it's definitely very, very special, and we're all incredibly proud to preserve Las Vegas history.
Well, I'm very honored to be here. Thank you very much for having me. You can come and see us. It's the Neon Museum, which is here in the heart of Las Vegas, just part of downtown, really, which, of course, is where it all started. A perfect place for this museum to be.
Yes, many of our signs are from downtown Las Vegas, which is really the heart of this sort of experience of spectacular, which is what neon signs were called when they first came to the city. And we're really proud to be a part of the resurgence of downtown Las Vegas.
Danielle, really lovely to meet you today. Thank you very much for having us here at the Neon Museum. You can find you online. Your website?
It is www.neonmuseum.org.
Brilliant. Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you so much.